11 and 1 p.m.
Now, the event was organized by the Whitman Cultural Council. It'll include live music, cookout, free activities for kids, and a puppy parade.
And this is the Olmsted Park. It's actually the 200-year birth anniversary of Frederick Law Olmsted. He created Central Park in Boston Common. So we have a beautiful reflecting pond. It's like a mini Boston Common. And then on the other side of the park is a playground. We have a town pool that is open to pool passes and swimming. And we'll have another stage on that side as well with performances and an art tent. So we're calling it the Gallery on the Green.
Yeah, the Whitman Day takes place today, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Whitman Town Park. Full list of events and a map that can be found on their website, whitmanday.com. Hanover Day kicked off last night, will continue today. Organizer Chris Harridan told the South Shores Morning News there's a lot to do and see.
There's kids' activities. There's no admission charge, so you can come and just experience the vendor fair. There's almost 100 people selling and displaying handmade crafts and things that are locally themed, but also are made by local people. And then you can just sort of enjoy the music. You don't have to buy a ticket. You don't have to do anything. There's food. There are food trucks. There's ice cream.
What? Hold on.
Interested.
Yeah, I am interested.
For more information, go to hanoverday.com. Of course, Rob's interested.
Pleasantly dry air that we've had all week is going to be checking out, and summer heat will be checking in for the weekend. We'll see plenty of sunshine for today as high pressure will be drifting south of Long Island. Light breeze out of the west. We'll have temperatures climbing between 87 and 90 degrees across the South Shore. If you happen to be right at the coastline, areas like Marshfield and Plymouth will top off about 84 degrees, and out on Cape Cod, look for readings to hover right around 80. Overnight tonight, mainly clear and a little more on the humid side overnight as lows will drop down into the low and mid 60s. For your Sunday, again, plenty of sunshine, but even more humid air developing, so it'll feel hotter. In fact, high temperatures will get just a couple of degrees higher. Look for readings between 88 and 92. And again, a little cooler right at the coast, 78 to 82 in those areas. But then a front comes in for Monday, and it's going to mean some showers, perhaps some heavy thunderstorms, especially midday and afternoon. It'll be a muggy day, but highs will only be in the low 80s. And then drier air settles in for Tuesday as the sunshine returns with readings in the upper 70s. For WATD, I'm precision weather forecasting meteorologist Bill Guile.
All right, it's beautiful out there. 78 sunny degrees in Marshfield. 10:06. I'm David Cedrone, WATD News.
Now, Talk Real Estate with Sharon McNamara, sponsored by Boston Connect Real Estate Services.
Hi, I'm Sharon McNamara, and you are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. Let me share a little bit about my background before we get started. I am the broker owner of Boston Connect Real Estate, a boutique real estate firm that is home to over 30 real estate sales and marketing consultants who service home buyers and home sellers throughout Boston, the South Shore, the South Coast, and Cape Cod. Our firm takes pride in assisting our clients in the next chapter of their lives by taking a holistic approach to their real estate endeavors. We believe that every move should be a moving experience. Every week, my real estate team member, Mary Baker, and I, along with the director of Boston Connect Real Estate, Melissa Wallace, provide you with our unique marketing approach to selling homes and share with you our expertise in navigating the home buying process. We like to mix it up sometimes, so not only will you hear our perspective on real estate topics, but you will hear the expert thoughts and opinions of some of our real estate agents at Boston Connect Real Estate and the preferred professionals that we trust. Be part of our roundtable. If you have any questions during the show, please call 781-837-4900. We'd love to talk real estate. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and wherever you listen to podcasts at Talk Real Estate Roundtable. If you would like a one-on-one consultation with me and my team, or one of the dedicated agents at Boston Connect Real Estate to discuss your real estate needs, you can connect with us at bostonconnect.com or 781-826-8000. Now, sit back, relax, take good notes, and let's talk real estate.
And hello to all our South Shore neighbors. You are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. My name is Melissa Wallace, and I am joined in studio with the one, the only Sharon McNamara.
Good morning. Hey, hey.
Good morning.
Remember Ryan used to do that? Hey, hey.
Hey, hey. I know.
Hey,
I know Ryan used to do that when we were going into the studio. I feel like that was 100 years ago now.
It feels like it for sure.
Oh man. Well, how are you today?
I am doing fabulous. Thank you for asking. We have the one and only Tim is in studio at WATD. He is our main guy here on Saturday. So hello, Tim.
Hello. Good morning, ladies. Happy first weekend of summer.
Yeah,
Is it?
Yes, it is. This is the first official weekend. Yeah.
Wow.
That's
okay.
awesome.
I did not know that.
And Mother Nature, she really set it up for us.
Oh,
Didn't
she sure did. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's
it's
good.
beautiful out today.
Yeah, it's awesome. So you want to let all of our listeners know what our plan is today. If you were listening to our show last week, you got a little idea and hint as to what we'll be doing today. So we gave a lot of sort of preface. Is that how you say it? Preface?
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 Preface? I don't know. I think
I
you
see
can,
Preface is right. Yeah.
I think you can do either. Yeah, so if you were listening to our show last week, last Saturday, actually, we were discussing how to sort of find the value of your home. So from a professional standpoint, we are realtors, full-time realtors here at Boston Connect Real Estate. And our job is to, sell houses, help people buy houses. So part of the process is figuring out what the current market value for a home is. So if you put your house on the market for one price and somebody offers you more, that's their decision. We have given you the facts, and Sharon is going to go through how we get all those facts. But if you want to follow along on Zoom, we have a link on our Facebook pages, Boston Connect Real Estate and McNamara Broker Team. You can join in. We are live on Zoom as well. So you can sort of see, we're live on Facebook too. So if you're a little shy and joining us, you can join us there as well. Yep. But you can see sort of how we get to, where we get the price. So it's a market analysis, and Sharon is going to go through, this is sort of her baby, of how she helps you as a seller find the value of your home and what she thinks.
I like the way that you just said that, because that is really what it is. I mean, our job as sellers agents and listing agents and working for the seller is to educate you on what the market is doing, where it is right now, what our instincts are telling us, where we feel it will be, usually driven by data. I'm very much a data geek. So we thought that this would be great to follow along. So again, if you go onto our Facebook page, you will find the link to the Zoom meeting. So you can come right onto Zoom. I'll be sharing my screen and going through the whole process. And we're hopeful that will happen through Facebook as well, that you'll be able to, once I share my screen, hopefully you'll be able to see that as well. So that's what we got, right?
Yeah. So you'll see us sort of go through from, we've talked about having people come into our office, and Sharon does her thing, and she has a meeting in our conference room about, really getting into MLS. So the multiple listing services, where all of the information that all realtors use. So that is what we're going to be showing you on Zoom today. But if you are only joining us through your radio, and you want to join in on the discussion as well, you can call Tim at the studio, 781-837-4900. But we are live on Facebook through Zoom as well.
Yes, absolutely. And I am trying to find the link, the direct link for like the meeting number and all that for the show, but I'm not having much luck. Maybe Tim, as we're talking, I know the invite that we sent you, if it has the meeting ID on there, maybe you could find that for us and we can share it with our listeners, just in case anybody is heading home or if they have the Zoom app and they want to follow along with us. So why we thought that this would be such a really good, timely conversation to have is because of what is going on in the market. And the other day I was going to go outside and look up at the sky and say, the sky is not falling. Like, I just want everyone to know that. Yes, we have been telling you. And if you listen to our show on Saturday mornings.
Excuse me, Sharon, is it the webinar ID?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That magic number is 876-1779-0969.
Perfect. Can you repeat that one more time?
Of course. 876 seven.
Hold on. So to our Zoom, to our Zoom listeners, to our WATD listeners, if you want to follow along on Zoom, because we're going to make this interactive and I'm going to be sharing a screen, Tim is giving you the meeting ID. So you can log on to zoom.us and put in this meeting code, and you shouldn't need any type of a password. All right, go ahead, Tim. Thanks.
Okay. The magic number again, get your lottery tickets ready, is 876-1779-0969.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much, Tim, for that.
You're welcome.
Good about finding all that stuff for us. So, what I'm going to do, so the timeliness of this is based on the fact that the things are changing a bit. So when I am doing a CMA, which is a comparative market analysis, and I've done 2 for people this week. And what I'm sort of getting the instinct is there's a large group of sellers out there, or people who are considering selling their house, and they've been watching the up and away, and they're thinking, wow, I'm just going to watch this until it gets to its level, and then I'm going to decide what to do. Well, that is what has happened, in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of the agents here as well. There are a lot of one-offs as well. There are definitely, houses that are still seeing multiple people at the open houses and showings and offers and all of that. So that's the buyer pool that's looking for that price range. That's still very, very active. And again, if you have any questions, I hate talking at people all the time. So 781-837-4900. If you have any questions for us regarding real estate, we love to hear your questions. So Melissa and I are here. It's our Saturday gig that we do together. Feel free to give us a call and we'll answer your questions. So Mel, as you know, we've been doing these analyses for people, and we're looking at the last 6 months of sold. Mm-hmm. So what's happened in the last 6 months?
I feel like it's always a loaded, I'm sorry.
Nothing.
You're like whispering. I feel like it's always a loaded question because I see so much. Like I've said, I sort of oversee the company in a sense where I go to you if something big is happening, but I like to know the little things every day. So I have, some of our agents that come in and I help them with their offers. And I just look at some of these offers and I'm like, wow, you can tell that somebody means business, and you can tell when somebody is purchasing with emotion.
Yeah.
And I think that people have been purchasing with emotion a lot in the past 6 months, and even probably longer than that.
Yeah.
Would you say? Yeah. So, and it's very obvious with some of the offers. I know we've talked about crazy things that people have put in the offers. And I think that is emotional. It's sort of taken a toll on a lot of buyers where they've missed out on a lot. And we even got an email from somebody that we know and said that, oh, my friend is sort of feeling discouraged because they've missed out on a lot. And my first instinct was in this market, you just have to come in with your best foot forward, no matter what.
Yeah, that is the thing is, and there are a lot of people out there that are putting in offers, when the listing agent is saying, we're waiting until Tuesday to have all offers in, or Monday or whatever. And then people try to put in offers to try to, tantalize them from changing their opinion and taking those offers quicker. So, the houses that are priced properly, that's the key word, and that are in good condition and show well, those homes are definitely still selling quickly. So what I'm going to do is I am going to share my screen. Again, if you're listening on WATD, I'm still going to talk it all through. You may not be able to see it, but you certainly will be able to hear it. I made up a street and a house and everything. But I'm going to show everybody exactly how I do this. For me, it's all about the data. It's, there's a lot to talk about when someone's putting their house on the market. There's a lot of things to consider. The marketing of the office. I actually was interviewed last night on Clubhouse from 6 to 7. It was supposed to be maybe a half hour, but I was on the whole time, and maybe until 7:15, talking about, being an agent and being a broker and, discussing how we do things here. And I said that everything I do myself, I teach to our agents. So I am sort of a data geek when it comes to all this stuff. You following along, Mel?
I'm following.
Yeah.
I'm here.
All right. Pipe in anytime, because I feel like once I get going, I never stop. Okay.
Yeah, but this is your baby. Like this
Yeah, I
is like
know.
you could talk for hours about it.
I know. And to me, like I said, I think that I don't gauge success by numbers. So when I do an analysis for people, I'm never giving them, oh, well, Sharon McNamara and Mary Baker team, we sold 55 houses last year. Like we had 29 million in gross volume. Like I don't
More than that.
Was it? Yeah. 33. Was it 33?
It was around 33.
Yeah. So I don't go that route because I don't think that that's important. I think what's important, if I have you for a limited time, an hour, I want to spend time on really digging down, getting deep, getting dirty with the numbers. So that's what we're going to do. I know Alyssa McNamara Reed would love this show today. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to share my screen with all of you. So hopefully this works and hopefully you can see it on Facebook. All right. So shared screen. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring everybody directly into MLS. Okay. Where is it? Oh, right down there. Okay. Thank you for my eyes. Okay. So if you are joining us and you can see everything on Facebook, hoping that we can. Yes. Okay. So what you're looking at right now is a screenshot of MLS. This is what the multiple listing service looks like. Okay.
Very high tech over here.
Yeah, I know. It might break down while we're in here, but they keep it simple. So there are different ones, like the Cape has one that they use. It's a lot different. Some are more sophisticated than others, but this is what ours looks like. So when I am doing an analysis for people, and I'm going to sort of blow this up a little bit if I can. It might go quickly now. Yep. That's too much. There's such a delay that, you know what I mean? That's why I'm okay. So when I am doing an analysis, there has to be a better way to do that. I am looking at, well, Mel, why don't you tell people what gives the value of a house at the end of the day when I'm looking at these comps? Which properties, like what status?
So what you want to do is, and especially when Sharon goes out on her appointments, we always do what's called an area market survey. So it is a sort of a snapshot of that town, of what has sold in the past. We do 3 months and 6 months. So what's sold in the past 3 months, what's sold in the past 6 months, what's currently on the market, what is under agreement. So that means it has an accepted offer. So it will be closing in the next 30 to 45 days, or depending on when it went sort of changed its status in MLS, but it gives us sort of snapshot of that. This, what we're looking at now is sort of an in-depth of what those properties are. So that'll give a list. Once we put in our sort of search criteria, it'll give a list that meets that criteria. So are you going to do sold or are you going to do under agreements right now?
Yeah, I'm going to go through this whole process right at the top. So
perfect.
So, and why I'm looking at each thing. So what I did is I chose a ranch style home in Abington. We're going to call it 123 Some Street. The owner of this is WATD listener. Okay. So this is sort of like a make-believe house, but I just wanted to do one that I knew would be a little bit easier to do. And I didn't have to get really, really into details. So the first thing I do is I always bring my clients into the office and I like to bring them right into MLS. And then what we'll do is we're looking at single families, because again, I told you I'm looking at a ranch style home. And then I'm looking at new, active, price change, back on the market, extended, and reactivated. Those are all statuses that those homes are available to be sold. So I don't consider another company or another agent competition. I consider another house competition, right? I mean, we are, for the most part, all of us are friends in this industry. We just wear different color logos, right? So what I'm looking at is what is new on the market, what is currently active on the market. If this house is active and then you come on the market, how are you going to look against this house?
Yeah.
It's a really good indicator for me as well when I'm seeing things come on the market, which way the market may be going. Okay. And I'll get into that a little bit more. I also look at contingent, and I also look at under agreement. The reason why I'm looking at contingent properties is because those properties are soon to be sold. And when we get the number for the value of your house is calculated by what has sold, not what's on the market. Because you could, again, I'm talking about a small 3-bedroom ranch right now. There could be a small 3-bedroom ranch on the market across the street from you that's on the market for $1 million. It does not mean that your house is now worth $1 million. Well, everybody's house is better than the neighbor, $1,000,001, right? So that is not how it works. If that house sells for $1 million, woohoo, let's have a party. Your house is now worth $1 million as well, potentially. Okay. So we're looking at it under agreement. This means, contingent, that your house is on the market. Someone has given you an offer to purchase. You have accepted it. There hasn't been a home inspection, purchase and sales agreement hasn't been signed. This will probably close within 45 to 60 days. Again, future forecasting. Is that making sense?
Yeah. And it makes sense because the past couple of shows we've talked about contingencies. So somebody who, we've talked about waiving contingencies actually. So if you waived all your contingencies, this time frame where you're contingent in MLS will be shorter because there's no waiting for an inspection. There's no, the kind of fun
Good
stuff.
point.
So you'll change your status to under agreement, but the contingent means that there is some sort of contingency that is going to, sort of add maybe a few more days to signing the purchase and sales.
Yep, absolutely. And that area market survey that Melissa was talking about, every time I go out to do an analysis, Melissa does my folder and she puts that in there, the 3 months and 6 months. And it will say like days on market and days to offer and all that information. So we get all of that as well. So under agreement, very similar to contingent. Contingent is actually a newer status for us. I've been doing this 21 years. I'd guess maybe this came in 8, 9, 10 years ago. Under agreement is different than contingent. Under agreement means we got the offer. We've probably gone through home inspection if there was one, probably signed the purchase and sales agreement. We're pretty ready to go. Generally speaking, from that point, the house will close within 30 to 45 days. Okay. So again, I'm future forecasting. If contingent and under agreement, if it's a 3-bedroom ranch and it's very similar to your house, I'll look at that and say, all right, this one is on the market for $400,000. I need to know what it sold for. So I'll reach out to the agent who's listing it and say, I know that you can't tell me the final price, but can you tell me if you ended up with multiple offers, which we can usually tell, and did you go over asking? Those are my primary questions. Some agents are better about getting back to you and some aren't, but I want to know that because if the house is like yours, it's on the market for $400,000 and they got above, all right, well, that's good news. But if they're on for $400,000 and they got less, then I need to sort of reconsider where we should be priced, because if they're not getting it for their house, we're not going to get it for ours either, probably, unless our house is significantly better. Okay. Then we go to sold. So sold is apples to apples, oranges to oranges. That's just the way it works. We're looking for condition. We're looking for style. We're looking for location. Okay. Those are the 3 key indicators on getting value. That makes sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, when you said oranges to oranges, I was thinking of like a regular orange and one of the mini ones, the mini oranges. And I was like, no, you could not do that. That's like comparing a mansion to, a little bungalow.
Yeah. So an orange to a nectarine.
A nectarine. Yeah. What are
Clementine.
Clementines.
Yeah. I love clementines actually, but I'm not rushing that season at all. All right. So the other thing, again, if you're following along, you're listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. My name is Sharon McNamara. I'm the broker owner of Boston Connect Real Estate and a full-time real estate agent here as well. And my team member, Melissa Wallace, is here with me today. She is literally our everything. She's the director of operations here at Boston Connect Real Estate. She takes care of everything. She's well-versed in real estate as part of being still part of my real estate team as well. So she's helping in that capacity still too. Mary Baker is not here today. She is actually at an open house. Yeah. So she's in Dorchester at 44 Butwell Street. We have 2 new condos on the market. They are beautifully redone. One has 2 floors. They both have 3 bedrooms, priced aggressively because of this market. $725 for the first floor and $775 for the second and third floor, which are combined. Okay. Master suite. So go see Mary.
And she's there tomorrow too.
Yeah, 44 Butwell Street in Dorchester, up in Pope's Hill.
11 to 1.
11 to 1. Okay, perfect. We're looking at 6 months. I use that as our indicator because that is what an appraiser will do. Sometimes we do, like Melissa said, I'll look at 3 months because I want to see if anything is shifting. If I can see the days on market going up, if I can see the sale price to list price ratio going up, those are all monitors that I'm looking at. To see what's going to happen. You'll also notice if you are following along, you can be following along on Zoom or you can be following along on Facebook. I don't get involved with bedrooms, bathrooms, number of rooms, acreage, living area, or any of that yet. The next step I do is I always type in the name of the town. It just happens that Abington is the first town. So I'm going to choose Abington. Here's a little hint for people. If you are looking for a home, don't type in the zip code, type in the town name. As you can see here, I don't know if it's a thing in Abington, but I will say this is a good example. If you're looking, I picked Abington, the main Abington tab here, but you can see there's North Abington and West Abington. If they have a little post office, that little post office will have a separate zip code.
It's funny because somebody sent me a text the other day and asked me for my mailing address to send me a thank you card. And I have a PO box because I live here in Pembroke. However, our house does not have a mailbox, so we have to have a PO box. But technically we live in the Bryantville section of Pembroke. So we have a Bryantville zip code. So I sent the address and then I realized, oh no, I sent her the Pembroke zip code. I'm like, oh, hold on. No, wrong zip code.
And it's easy to do. And sometimes agents, and what we're seeing is a lot of one-off agents, by the way, like from different areas. You can tell like they're related to family and things like that. And I've seen this happen before. And I usually will call the agent and say, hey, you might have a better turnout if you had the right zip code, because always use the main zip code. You know, these little, like if you use the Bryantville zip code, you won't get everything in Pembroke. So there's my little tip and hint for the day. Okay. So you can see again, if you're following along, I put in Abington because that's going to be our main town that we're looking at. So again, my criteria is anything that's on the market, anything contingent, anything under agreement, anything sold for the last 6 months in Abington. And then my next criteria is going to be style. And I am going to type that in, but there are lots of different criteria that I could narrow this down to. So we know it's a ranch. So I'm just going to scroll down to ranch. Now, if it's a colonial, you might put colonial and garrison. If it's a cape, you might do cape and a gambrel. If it's like a multi-level, you might do multi-level and split. You know what I mean? So there's lots of different things in here that you can do. So I'm just going to pick ranch because that's what it is. It's a one-level ranch.
And not a raised ranch.
And not a raised ranch. And not a split level and none of that. So I just add ranch. And when I did that, my count went to 21 up here. You can see the results. Okay. Now let me unclick it and see how many were there before. There were 93 properties before I narrowed it down. So I really don't want to look through 93 properties right now. Right. No. So that's why we click off ranch. And when we did that, it brought it from 93 to 21, which is very easy to look through. Okay. So then when I bring them up and when I have my clients here, I never ask my clients when I'm at their house what they think the value of the house is. I am a benefactor by nature. I want to please everybody. But what I don't want to do is give you false hope or false expectations. So I really try to get that number based on what my expertise is. And then, you know, when you do come into the office, I do always ask, okay, now that I have mine done, I am interested to know where you think the value of the house is. The reason I ask this once you get here, I already have my work done. I already know where it's going to come in. But let's just use an example. If my analysis after it was all said and done said that the house was worth $400,000, again, I'm going to keep the numbers the same here. And you come to me and tell me that you think that the house is worth 500. Well, I know that I know what I have to work on to show you why it isn't $500,000. Okay. Yeah. In the past, it's been interesting because it's been the opposite. It's been, all right, your house is on the market for 4 and you thought it was worth 3.
Yeah.
So what we think the value is 4, and you thought it was 3. So that's the difference. So if you are following along, and I hope that you can, but if you're not, I'm just going to tell you what is up here. Now I have a list of 21 properties in Abington that are the last 6 months. They are on the market that you could purchase, contingent, under agreement, and sold the last 6 months, and ranch style homes. And now we can see them all. And they're listed here by list price. And then next to the list price, you can see the sold price. Okay. So the house that I have, generally speaking, what I'd do is I would go in here, and when I'm with the client, if they told me, okay, I think my house is worth 500, I would say, all right, do I have one that's 500? No, but let's take this one for 515 that's sold. And let's just compare this together with your property. One time I did this with, she's actually a friend, and I sold her house 18 years ago, and the kids are graduating high school. They have a party today. I printed out that page with the list of them, and we went through each one, and I'm like, now you tell me if you think it's the same as your house or not, and why. So it was a really good exercise. But this one here, you can see, has 6 rooms, 3 bedrooms. It has 1,248 square feet of space. The house that I am looking at has, pre-sold, has 1,152. So it's similar. You're never going to get anything exactly the same. It's similar. And then what I do is I'll read all, what it has to offer and everything. How big is the lot? How many bathrooms? And then I really just scroll through the pictures so you can see. Now, it has a beautiful backyard. It has an updated kitchen. It has hardwood floors. So the one I'm looking at has hardwood floors. It has an updated kitchen, but not as updated as this one. This is what goes through my head as I'm looking through them. And I'm like, can I use this as a comp? Yeah, I probably could use this as a comp. It's really updated a lot more than mine, but I may be able to use this as a comparison. What I'm always doing is I need to justify why this house is similar to an appraiser, because the bank won't give the money, right?
Yeah, because you have to sell a house twice.
Exactly. All right. So I'm going to go back to my results. That might be one I'm going to consider. I mean, it really is done over really nicely, where the one I am considering is, cosmetically, it needs all updates. It was an older couple that lived here. Okay. Then I'm going to look at this one here that sold for $490. Let's see what that brings. And this is exactly the exercise I do. I don't even know if we have anybody watching right now, but
we do.
Okay, perfect. So this house here. So the first thing I notice is it went on for $469. It sold for $490, 6 rooms, 3 bedrooms, 1 full bath. This one has a garage. Mine doesn't have a garage, right? So that's value right there. So I would say, let's add $15,000 because this one has a garage. Could you build a garage for $15,000? The answer is no, but we're just going to use that as our number. Okay. And then what I do is I come down here and I scroll. Let me look at the pictures. How close are we to the house that I'm going to be considering? And I put that in my memory bank. Okay. All right. So that's how I do it. So if a client comes to me and they say, I think my house is worth $500,000, I'll pick out the ones that look like $500,000. And afterwards I'll say, do you still think that your house is in line with this? Sometimes I will get answers like,
that sold 6 months ago. That sold 3 months ago.
Yeah. Or my house has
a pool.
My house has, a fire pit. Yeah, a fence. Mine's a fenced in yard. Or, everybody is always justifying. And I promise you, as a listing agent, and I have been doing this a very long time, my fiduciary responsibility is to you, the seller. My job is to get you the most amount of money with the best conditions and terms that suit you. Okay. So I am always trying to get you the most amount of money, but the worst thing that you can do in this market is overprice your house. And a lot of people are starting to overprice their house because they're basing their sale price, their list price, on emotional value. Houses that sold in the last 3 months or 6 months that were emotionally driven and artificially inflated. right?
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. So, so this is exactly what I do. I just go through every single one and I pick and choose. I like to look at, and I do this with my client right in the office with me. But I like to look, okay, let's look at this one that's under agreement. This one is close to where we're going to be. It's beautiful, 6 rooms, 3 bedrooms, 1,000 square feet. So we're very similar neighborhood. Right around the street. This one has white trim, older kitchen cabinets, smaller kitchen. We have a bigger living room area. So this is, in my opinion, a very good comp. It hasn't sold yet, but I do know that it had multiple offers and went over asking. So that was the research that I had already done. Okay. Any questions about this?
No questions from me. Any questions from Facebook? We do have a couple people watching. Tracy Grady says hi.
Hi.
She's on her way to an open house.
Oh, yes. Why don't you want to give that address where she is?
Sure. So the Grady team has a new listing in Situate. It is 179 Hatherley Road. They are going to be there today from 11 to 1 and tomorrow 12 to 2. Again, the address is 179 Hatherley Road in Situate. It is a gorgeous home. It's a sort of a contemporary cape. It is on the market for $1,095,999. It is a beautiful home. You have to see this one. So if you are in the market for a home in Situate, 179 Hatherley Road, just go see the Grady's. I mean, they're just great.
They are wonderful. Yeah, they have a new one down in Sandwich as well. And they had an open house yesterday that went well as too on Hill Farm Road in Pembroke. So those properties are still available. All right. So if you're tuning in, you can also, to all our WATD listeners, you are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable, and we have Tim in the studio. So if you have any questions for us, feel free to give us a buzz, 781-837-4900. And Tim can pipe you through to us at our home studio here on the South Shore in Pembroke Center, right across from Stop and Shop. If you're in the area and you want to say hello, come on by. Melissa and I are here. So, hello. Well, you said that, was it you? Someone said that they liked Lionel Richie. Oh, it was Kristen Howlett.
Kristen Howlett.
Yeah, Kristen Howlett.
Loves them.
So, all right. So now I'm on to my marketing and pricing proposal. If you are online, proposal with my easel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this. My first part is really about, it's all data. And I just want to teach you everything that I know about that. So what I say to people is, hey, I've already really discussed a lot of the things that are in this presentation, so we can skip by a lot of this. I always introduce people to who we are as a team. Evis is not in this picture. We have to update some of our pictures, but that's Mary, who works with me on my client side, working with buyers. And I have Melissa, who does a little bit of both, actually. So she helps with client stuff, and she also runs the office and takes care of all the agents. And she is the supervisor for Julia Hannon, who recently joined us, our administrative coordinator. A little time, sometimes people ask me about my industry experience. Sometimes I go through that. What our listing strategy is, we're very data driven. Numbers are numbers. They don't change. They are what they are. This is not me coming up and just saying, oh, well, because I did this, I just feel like the price of your house is. It's like, no, I know, because I'm looking at the numbers, and so are you, and so are the buyer's agents, and so are the buyers. So everybody knows they can stand in front of your house. They don't even have to stand in front of your house. They can stand in their own house, and they can push on HomeSnap.
Yeah.
They can find the value of every house, how much your house sold for, all of that. Okay. Just intelligent pricing. What?
Sorry, I'm just thinking of this meme that was like, it's like, oh, sorry, I'm late. Like somebody who shows up to the party late, like, sorry, I'm late. I was looking up your house on HomeSnap, looking up the value of your house on HomeSnap.
That's funny. I bet you people do that, actually. So this just gives you like our listing strategy. I'm not going to really get into that. And then this is just the pricing your property to sell. It's an appraisal approach. It's data-driven analysis. It's market value range. We have to give you a range. Legally, we are supposed to give you a range of what your house is worth. So what we do is we take all the properties that we find are similar that have sold. Let's say there's 3. We add them together. We divide by 3, and we put 3% on each end. That's what gives us our range. Okay. A lot of times we're looking within a 1 mile radius of the subject property. That is something that appraisers do. So I do keep that in mind. However, there are times like the town of Pembroke geographically is larger than Quincy. And we have a lot of similar feeling styled developments. So Lantern Lane, for example, off of Route 27 is very similar to Hemlock Drive, which is in North Pembroke, right?
Mhm.
But it's definitely more than a mile, even as a crow flies. So it's just being able to help the appraisers understand that. Again, we're looking at the last 6 months of statistics, similar style properties, current market conditions is what we are going after. Intelligent pricing, I always tell people about this. Period. Amen. The better you price your house, the more people come in. There's no denying it. So
I like the 75% guy.
the 75% guy. Yeah. Doing his exercises. Like, yeah. So there's market value. If you price it under market value, you're going to get more people, or the lower end of your range. And if you price it the higher end of the range, you're going to get less people that come through the door. Okay. And then when you have less people coming through the door and they decide to put an offer in, they don't feel that same recklessness that was going on where they have to overbid or waive in contingencies. I already said this. The value of your home is based on the market, the condition, and the location. The value of your home, Mary hates the slide, is not what I want, what I need, and what I must have. And there was a time when people were saying, well, in order for me to sell, I have to get. Well, it doesn't work that way. You will get what someone is willing to give you,
Yeah.
you know? Or in order for me to sell, I want to sell my house now, but I want to be able to have 4th of July and Labor Day in it. And I don't want to sell until October. Well, now with rising interest and rate locks, there's all kinds of considerations that you have to put into mind. Sometimes you can't do that. Okay. So we try our best though to get you everything that you need as a seller. Okay. So this just shows you the map of the comparables, how home buyers found the home that they're looking for. Mostly they're working through real estate agents. They are going online and doing some searching there. This is just the subject property. Again, I'm going to go quickly through some of these. So these are all the houses that we were looking at online in MLS. I always put these in my presentation for my clients to take home with them so they can really digest everything that is there. I always tell people, please don't get insulted by your offers. Buyer's agents are looking at the same numbers as us. Okay.
Mhm.
If I am a buyer's agent and I'm saying, well, this is where the value of this house really should be, a lot of people don't want to pay over for anything.
Right.
Do you?
No, who would?
No. I mean, buying a pair of shoes, do you want to pay more?
No,
No.
I search high and low before I spend money on
know.
myself.
I want to go to Frugal Fannies. We're doing that.
All right. Well,
Can we
next
do that
week.
this week?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. This is how I love to look at things. Again, very data driven. And you can see I put the subject property is on the left. And I'm just trying to move this out of the way. Okay. So the subject property is over here on the left. Again, it's 123 some street, and I can see what it's assessed at. I can see what these other 2 houses that are under contract are assessed at. I also see that this one has a garage. I'm only looking at these. These are not giving me my value, but if they're similar and they sell, I'm hoping that they're selling for more. So we know by the time we put our house on the market, the value will be where we are, we'll sustain it, or we can go up. What was I going to say? Oh, the other thing is when we're doing our listing contracts right now, we're putting the sale price as to be determined. We literally do not make a decision until the day of. So, because you never know, one of these could go, sell or something like that. So we're basing it on the most current information. The current information, I did this morning. So if you're looking and following along, you will see this. This is current information. So assessed value, it really has nothing to do with it, but everybody will always say to me, I threw this in there because people will say, yeah, but my house is assessed at this. My house is assessed at that. And then the people who have a lower assessment and they still think that their house is better. By the way, you're not alone as a seller. Nobody has an ugly baby. Everybody thinks their house is better than the other person's, right? Don't you think?
Yeah. I was thinking like nobody has an ugly cat. Because I have a cat, I don't have a baby, but my cat is very
Very
Beautiful.
cute. Very photogenic, by the way.
Very
Yeah.
photogenic.
So no one has an ugly baby. And that isn't, and when I'm going through someone's home, I always say to them, this is the second time I'm meeting people. So the first time I'm going through their house, and I go through your home as the eyes of a buyer. Buyers are looking for what's wrong, not for what's right. And I make some suggestions. I don't give away all my little trade secrets. When people hire me, then again, I'm a professional staging professional, whatever, certified. I can do a lot of those things. But assessment is based on 2-year prior sold information. So that's how it's done in the state. A lot of times people say, oh, well, I never let my appraiser in, and that's why my house is appraised where it is. But really, if they had seen it, it would be appraised for more. Well, I don't really get into it. I just find out what the value is.
Yeah.
Any questions on that?
Nope.
All right. Do you want to sort of go through the other line items here and tell people what I'm looking at?
So you went through the assessed value, correct? So you obviously, we want to do apples to apples, oranges to oranges, not mandarins or whatever the heck the other ones were called.
Clementines.
So Clementine. So we're only looking at ranches. Year built. This one's 1951. The other ones are 1960, 1959, all very similar times. It's not like 100-year difference where we might be concerned about other things, structural and stuff like that.
And so many people do renovations over the years too. So like, you just don't know.
Yeah,
Right.
You really don't. Especially if they don't allow the assessors to come in and maybe they don't have permits or whatever. But
that's a good story. That's a good show for another day.
That is a good show. Days on market. Obviously, our home is not on the market, but the other ones 13 and 10 days. Are these ones that are under contract? So, so they've been on the market, but they have accepted offers. Living area is important to compare. So ours has 1152, as Sharon said. The 380 Lincoln Street, the first one has a little over 1,000, and then there's 1,500. 1,500 is a little bit more than 1,000. So those two, I wouldn't say that they compare, apples to apples, though that might be apple or oranges and mandarins. Total rooms,
and you can also see that one's on the market for 445.
Yeah.
Right.
So that one is higher. It is literally half as big. So total rooms 5 and 7. We don't count bathrooms as a room, correct? Because you can't live in a bathroom. Yeah. You can live in a bedroom, you can't live in a bathroom.
It's part of the living area, but it's not considered
a room.
Yeah.
For bedrooms, we will try to keep it very similar. So all 3 homes have 3 bedrooms. Obviously, there are some people who put more value on a 4-bedroom, but something that Sharon has pointed out before was, okay, they might have 4 bedrooms, but their square footage is very similar. So what does that mean? The bedrooms are small. So if you have 3 bedrooms and you're at 1,200 square feet, another home has 4 bedrooms at 1,200 square feet. Your bedrooms, although you have 1 less, they are larger. Bathrooms, all the homes have 1 bathroom. And heating. Do you, when it comes to heating, is there sort of a different value when it comes? I don't know.
Only if you're the owner of the house.
Okay. And that's price wise.
Yeah. You know what I mean? For me, it really matters what you want. I mean, if it's forced hot water or if it's forced hot air, it really depends on what each individual person wants. So if I go to a house and I say, okay, what kind of heat do you have? Oh, I have forced hot air. And then if I'm doing an analysis like this right here, and I say, oh, well, this one had forced hot water. The person who has the forced hot air will say, oh, but forced hot air is so much better because you can run air conditioning through it. If it was vice versa, the person has forced hot water baseboard, and I'm comparing it to someone who has forced hot air, they'll say, yeah, but forced hot water is better because it's moist and it doesn't dry out your nose and things like that. So it really matters who you are. In my opinion, it doesn't matter so long as it heats the house.
Right. Acreage, our lot is a lot smaller, even less than half smaller than the other two. So 0.18. So what is it? How many square feet are in an acre?
40,000.
40,000 in an acre. So it's not even
7,700 square feet, 7,700 square feet.
So small lot compared to the other two. And that could have a factor in buyers as well. Somebody who wants maybe a a fenced in backyard, they have a dog, they have children running around, or they want to run around themselves. So having sort of an area outside could be important. So with these other two homes, they are.
And then on the flip side
larger.
of that, there are a lot of people who don't want a big yard,
Right.
because they would rather on weekends not be taking care of the lawn. They'd rather be, at sports or doing things with the kids, or maybe being at the beach themselves. And in this instance too, with us having 0.18 acres of land and them having 0.47, they can't do anything more with theirs than I can do with mine. So from a value point of view, this is really a market value, not like a market. It's a marketing value. It's not like a financial value.
Yeah. But I would say that this part is emotional value. So we're talking about emotional value. We're talking about, somebody who will come in and sort of be, is looking for something like this. So somebody who is looking at it emotionally and doesn't want to take care of these things, they will love this. Somebody who's looking at it emotionally and wants that for themselves, this might not be the home for them. Garage space, we don't have a garage. The first home does not have a garage. The second home does. So that is why they went on the market for higher than the other home. Next.
And the next. Okay. So these are the recently solds.
Okay.
So as you can see, if you've been following along since the beginning, and I hope that you have, we only have 5 minutes left. Wow. There were other ranches in there, but we didn't choose them as sold properties. Now I did look at one that had a garage to begin with, but I'm not going to pull one that has a garage to try to figure out what the value is of this. Okay. And we went through the pictures, completely updated and all of that. So in this instance, one of these houses is probably better than the other house. And then our house is probably falling somewhere in between. Okay. But again, apples to apples, I like looking at things side by side. Square footage wise, you can see that first one on Martin Street that recently sold for $365, that only had 854 square feet of space. So in my head, I'm like, we're minimally 365.
But even look at this. So it's sold for 365. It went on the market for 339.
Yeah.
So, and you can see with the second home, it went on the market for 399, went on for 430. Personally, if these properties went on for 430 and 365, they probably wouldn't have sold for that.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. And that's where the tricky part is for us right now. I'm so glad that you brought that up. And I hope our listeners are understanding that. These were emotionally driven. They were probably sold with multiple offers on them. And people were like, I have to have it. I have to have it. And that's what boosted up these prices. Okay. So now I'm in this little purgatory area where I'm taking the sold because that's really what sold. Some of these houses are not appraising for the sale value, right? So people are just putting a lot of money down. It's not appraising at that. So we're sort of in that in between where sellers definitely want to use the sold price to have as their baseline, as their indicator for a baseline. We're telling people to sort of be on the lower end of that range because that was emotionally driven. Okay. It was artificially inflated by one person's emotion. And we don't know if we're going to have other people that are going to be that emotionally invested to do that. So I sort of look at what were those houses actually on the market for? Okay. Right. And again, the same exact exercise going down. You can see with my solds, I'm a little more specific. No garage on either one of them. Approximate acreage, very similar. All of them have forced hot air. Not that that's an indicator for me. Both have one bath. You can see the smaller house only has 2 bedrooms. So I definitely know that this house is worth more than $365, just based on that alone. Okay. But we have to have a couple comps. The other house is probably better because it's the one on Martin Street. It's updated.
They're both on Martin Street.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's why I was like
20. Yeah. 20 Martin and 34 Martin. Yeah. So they're both. So one, I would say our house has more room, is in similar condition. The other one is we're not as updated. So if you take these two and meld them together, that's how we'll get our number. This is just analysis by status, what's currently on the market, what's currently recently sold. This is just a summary of the 5 properties that are currently on the market and what they're on the market for. This is the sale price to list price ratio. This one is important. As you can see, the 2 comps that I'm using, sale price to list price ratio is 107.72%. So they got 100% of what they were on the market for, plus an additional 7.72%. Okay. So that's the sale price to list price ratio. You can also go back to, and you can see like average days on market is 18. Is that an indicator? I don't know. Like, I don't think so. I think every house it really matters when the agents are putting things as under agreement. So,
Yeah.
I just heard a doorbell, so we have 2 minutes left. This is where the value of this house came out to. It came out to $385,600 to $409,500. I think that is a really good range. If I was smack dab in the middle of that one, I would say, okay, we could potentially come on. I would say between 389 and 395. Okay. I would feel comfortable in that price range. I think it will probably go for over $400,000 if this demographic of buyer is still out there.
Right.
Okay. So it's as simple as that, people. I hope you enjoyed that. These are just some fees. I'm not going to go through that. I'm not going to go through all of the, all the fluff of the marketing and advertising that we do. Of course, it's all important. And if you wanted to have an analysis done on your home, our team is very happy to do that for you. You can reach us at the office, 781-826-8000. My cell phone number is 781-294-4848. Yep. You can get us to Sharon at Boston Connect, Melissa at Boston Connect. Also go on to our website, bostonconnect.com. You can see all of our dedicated real estate agents at Boston Connect Real Estate. Read their bios. Pick somebody that, emulates with you and you want to be hanging out with.
And listen to any of our past shows, talkrealestateroundtable.com. Thanks for listening.
Bye, everybody. Yeah, get our podcast. Listen to our past shows. Bye, Tim. Have a good one.
Bye, you too. Thank you.